Hello again. Time for part 3. This time I'm reviewing Condemned by someone who clearly wishes to remain anonymous. In some ways I'm not surprised. I'm not going to do a walkthrough for this one, as it's quite a long game and it would take me an hour or so to review it, so I'll tell you what I think of it first. Overall, it's not too bad, but then it's not too good either. It's a fairly well implemented game. The errors are minimal, and well, technical errors are minimal, and the parser did behave itself. There was a decent story there, and there will be some who will gush over it. I'm sure of that, but I can tell you now that I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. This really isn't my thing. But I mean, the main problems with this game were fourfold. Firstly, and most prominently, it's a I can't really beat about the bush here. It's a snuff game. It's a snuff game. It's a BDSM fetishist dream come true. The constant, long, drawn-out scenes of pain and torture, they're well and truly overdone, and they seem to drag on to such an extent that they actually start to become tedious after a while. Having to go through several screen-long text dumps of this guy literally crucifying himself is really taking the cake, which leads us on to problem number 2. It's very long, and it's on the rails, and there are text dumps like you would not believe. I mean, in one scene, I think you have to press Z about 11 or 12 times, in order to proceed, and in other scenes you have to keep talking to the characters you're with for several turns, and each turn you get a page-long text dump. It does deserve to be slated for that, because that's not what interactive fiction's about. But that in itself leads us on to problem number 3. I was using the walkthrough almost constantly. In many locations it wasn't clear what I was supposed to be doing at all, and there weren't all that many clues, plus you can die in the second scene almost without warning, and I think the inclusion of the death scene seemed pretty pointless. I just don't think it seemed to fit in with the rest of the game, not with the character. And in places as well, the writing wasn't that good, or at least it wasn't very consistent. Some of what you encounter, even right at the beginning of the game, just doesn't sound right at all, and then there are a lot of grammatical errors. One description of a control box in a garage, for instance, I don't know, I've got it written down here. I'll read it out to you. It says, "The metal box has a wheel on the face of it, a push button on the side of it, and a hole on top of it, with a rope leading out from the hole. Tracing your eye upwards, the rope climbs up to a pulley and dips down to the top of the cross. The rope tied to the cross through a hole drilled through its top. Looking back up past the ceiling beams, you notice that the pulley is not cemented to the ceiling. As a matter of fact, the pulley hangs from a movable ball on a ceiling beams track. The track starts from the cross, curves, and then extends over to the west wall." I mean, can you picture that in your mind's eye? But I can't, and I'm sure it's not just me. I mean, but that it isn't the worst thing I've ever played. No, Condemned isn't the worst game I've ever played, not by a long chalk, and it is at least serviceable. But I'm sure it is going to strike a chord with many people. So, what do we reckon then? What about the scoring? Ooh, let's see. Maybe 5 or 6. Yes, about 5 or 6, I think. Okay, on to the next game.